The third reason why idol worship was also that is a big deal. It's not because of the images. It is because idol worship is behind culture. Idol worship is the idea behind cultures, is the idea behind most societies, is the idea behind the spirituality of nations. So if Israel was to came under idol worship, it means their culture it will be made by the belief system that come from this idol temple. Their society will be governed by belief system that come from these idol temples. It means their sense of their interpretation on how they will use resources will be dependent on ideas that come from the belief system that come from these temples. If they are going to, their culture will be shaped largely, and their spirituality also will be shaped largely by what comes from the temples and from these gods. Now, I will say this, that though it is presented as if it is the matter of worshiping graven images, if it was all about worshiping graven images and people just go back and continue their business, then it wouldn't have mattered. But what is captured as idolatry in the Old Testament, it is what is divided in the New Testament as carnality. It is what is known as carnality in the New Testament. It is what is known as worldliness in the New Testament. It is what is known as materialism in the New Testament. It is what is known as spiritism. What it means here is this, is that what the sum total of the belief system of idolatry is what people go, it is what is the carnality that is described in the New Testament. And carnality in the New Testament is what we know as the works of the flesh. It is what is also known as worldliness, and worldliness is what we know as self-centeredness. Idol worship, idol belief system, idolatry, that belief system had a way of encouraging carnality. It encouraged worldliness, a focus on a life that is highly, intensely self-centered. It encouraged materialism. And what is materialism? A focus of a life that is intensely physical without regard for spiritual improvement or spiritual place or spiritual value. The value is only measured in terms of material or physical terms. And it also encourages spiritism. Now, spiritism is what? Spiritism is the overly emphasis of spirituality in intensely physical way. Spiritism is an overemphasis of spirituality that is intensely physical. That is what spiritism is. Spirituality is not spiritism. Spiritism is to look at spiritual life from an intensely physical point of view. Now, these are the things that idolatry promote. Today, we might not have images. Today, people might not have images, but the belief system that stem from idolatry or paganism still exists. There is still carnality with us. There is still materialism with us. There is still worldliness with us. There is still spiritism with us. Let me give you, for example, in the history of the infamous history of the church, there is this event that is said in Scotland, that happened in Europe, in Scotland, in UK, many years ago in the 1600s, where it is reported that thousands of women were burned to death. They were burned alive because they were accused of witchcraft. About thousands of them were accused of witchcraft and they were burned alive. Now, this was an atrocity that was carried out both by the church and the state. Now, this was what? They were the church. That means it was like a form of a church and it was a state. They were not bowing to a form of images that provoked them to carry out this act. But what was it? It was the idea, the fear that spiritism caused, the kind of over-spiritualization of looking at spirituality, from a physical point of view, that made human beings a target, that made poor people targets, made poor people to be suspected as witches, and they were burnt alive. Now, I will tell you that those that burned them alive did not bow down to images, but the belief system that is rooted in paganism was what controlled the way they saw those women. It was what controlled them to take that kind of brutal act of killing innocent women in the name of purging witches from their land. Now I will tell you this, that is the same thing that happens. We might not be bound to idols. People might not be bound to idols even in our modern world. But the belief system of idolatry can still be here. It is still here with us. It is not only in the Old Testament that it existed, it is also something that is still here with us. Now that